So now it's the 8th of January, and this will probably be my final installment in the series of videos that I've been making about my new plastic ukuleles that I got for Christmas. In the last video I was working on the orange Japanese brand new ukulele, and I was doing the demonstration of it with the strings that it came with compared to how it sounded, upgrading the strings to Aquila strings. And I gave my conclusions on how I thought that improvement worked. But now I'm going to do the same for the antique plastic ukulele, the old TV Pal model. And I'm really interested to see how this one is going to sound after I've put some better strings on it. So as I mentioned, the type of strings that I'm going to be putting on this ukulele, and the kind that I put on the other plastic ukulele, they're known as Aquila strings. And they come all the way from Italy, and they're known as the nyl-gut type of string. They're nylon, but they're simulated to be as close as possible to old gut strings. And as you can see, they're not the most inexpensive strings you can buy. That's actually a pretty good price for them. The first set I got for $12. But yeah, they really do make a difference. They really do sound quite good. They're really going to improve this. I'm certainly hoping. As a comparison of these two plastic ukuleles that I've had, so far I'm actually more impressed with the antique one, just the way that it sounds, but really my complaint is about the strings. They're just so loose that although the sound that comes out is pretty good from those strings, it's just so loose that it's really difficult to strum them because they're kind of loose and your finger kind of gets caught on them because they don't really spring out of the way when you're strumming. Maybe it's something you could get used to, but all my other ukuleles are not like that. So I kind of like it to be the same, and I'm hoping that with a good set of strings on there like these Aquila ones, I'm going to get an even better sound out of this old antique TV Pal. As I mentioned in the unboxing video, the strings that come on here are really unusual. They're color coded, and I understand that the original strings that came on these ukuleles was color-coded, so I have a feeling that these are the original strings, but they're just so unusual compared to more modern strings. They're not like plasticky at all. They're like cotton almost. They have like a bunch of woven threads. They're just woven together, and they're really loose. And I'm pretty sure that all these strings are like exactly the same thickness, because on the ukulele the C string is always the lowest one, and it's significantly looser than any of the other strings because it has so much less tension on it. Because I think all the strings are the same, it's just the tensions are varied for it to produce the different frequencies. So I'm going to do this string replacement the same way I did it with that one over there. First, what we're going to do is we're going to record a bunch of things on this ukulele with those strings as they are, and then we're going to take those strings off. And as I said, I'm probably going to save these strings because I think they're probably original, and they're very unique in what they are, and they'd be very difficult to ever replace. So if I ever did want them again, it'd be good to hold on to them. So I will save them, and then I'm probably going to clean things up a little bit because, as I said, it's kind of dirty, and I didn't go to too much effort of cleaning it when it was when it had the strings on, just because I just kind of wanted to play it to start with. Then after I clean it, I'm going to put the Aquila strings on, and then we'll do a few more recording the same things with the new strings, and then I'll put the clips back to back, and you'll get to hear the difference between the old strings and the new strings. So it's the 13th of January now, and I'm just getting around to finishing off this video showing my new strings on this ukulele. I've had the new Aquila strings on here for about a week, and I've kind of been playing around with it, testing it out, kind of waiting for the strings to adjust a little bit better to their tension so that it's going to stay in tune. But I've made some clips with this as it is, so I'll show you the comparison clips, and then I'll kind of afterwards give my commentary on how I think this upgrade turned out. So what you're going to hear first is the TV Pal ukulele with the original strings that it came with on it. Then you're going to hear again the same TV Pal ukulele with the Aquila strings on it, so we can compare how this upgrade affected this ukulele. Then after that, we're going to hear the newer Japanese pineapple ukulele playing the same thing afterwards. So now you're going to be able to compare the two plastic ukuleles, the old and the new, what you like better. And then after that, we're going to have another clip of this, so you can hear what this one sounds like again. And then we're going to compare this one to the wood ukulele, my K-A-K-S koa wood ukulele, just to give you an idea of how this matches up with a good quality or a medium mid-level quality wooden ukulele. So the first clip is just a C major scale, and it's just a relatively slow, easy, plucked scale, just to give you an idea of what it sounds like when you're plucking things and playing little melodies on the ukulele. And then the next clips you're going to hear that same C major scale, except played a little bit faster. And now to give you an idea of what these ukuleles sound like when they're playing chords and you're strumming chords, I prepared a little sequence of chords which is just taken from 12-bar blues in the key of C. So it's just C major, F major, and G major. So now that you've heard those recordings, you can draw your own conclusions about which ukuleles you prefer, how the different ukuleles matched up together, and how, the string upgrade worked out for the TV Pal ukulele. But I'm just going to give you a few of my own, personal opinions on the upgrade and the comparison between all the different ukuleles. So first I'm going to talk about how I feel the upgrade putting these strings on turned out compared to the existing strings that were on it. Overall, I'm very happy with how it turned out. One of the main concerns I had was just the strumming of it. It was just really challenging, really weird to strum because they were just so loose. Particularly the C string was really loose, and I had concerns that I was finding like my hand was kind of getting, kind of stuck and caught, while I was strumming up and down, just because they were so loose. And I couldn't play the ukulele the way I normally have always, played ukuleles. So making this upgrade of these strings really just made this ukulele, more normal, more usual, more playable for me in particular. And I also find that the new strings compared to the old ones have a much sort of a cleaner sound, and it's almost like when you're playing them, they're more consistent. This was most noticeable like in the clips that I did doing the scales, or particularly the faster scale, just because the notes, when I was doing with the loose old strings, each note on the scale didn't really sound, quite the same. It wasn't very consistent. But with these strings on here, it's very consistent, just the same as any other ukulele I have. Now comparing the two different plastic ukuleles, I was really happy with how the old antique TV Pal sounds. For one thing, again, it just sounds a lot cleaner, and this was most noticeable when I was playing the chords. I think the main reason is because the action on this, meaning the height that the strings are off of the fretboard, is much higher on the TV Pal than it is on the Orange Pineapple Japanese ukulele. And as a result, I always find when I'm playing this one, you get a lot of fret noises. So for example, the string, when it's vibrating, it buzzes a little bit on the frets, and also when you're strumming, just the act of coming down on top of them makes them move down a little bit and make a little clicking sound as they kind of bounce off of the fretboard. So with this TV Pal one, you really have pretty much no noises like that, and the sound that comes out of it is just straight string vibration, which I really like. However, one thing about the TV Pal, which I think is inferior to the newer classic ukulele, is that it seems to be a lot quieter. The sound that comes out of it is just so much quieter, and I think it's probably because it has less mass. Like, the bodies are built, they're practically the same dimensions, but I think the plastic is a fair bit thicker on the newer one, and as a result there's more mass, which amplifies the sound louder. So now comparing the antique plastic TV Pal to my Kala wooden ukulele, again I would say that the plastic one gave a much cleaner sound, and it goes right back to the action on here being so high that there's like no fret noises or buzzes or anything like that. But this one, again, it's fairly low, and you do get a fair bit of those sounds. So in terms of cleanness, the TV Pal beats all of my other ukuleles. So in terms of loudness, the wooden ukulele is much louder than the TV Pal. Again, it probably has a lot to do with mass. The wooden one feels quite a bit heavier than the TV Pal one is. However, being quieter is not necessarily a bad thing. It really depends on the circumstances or the location that you're going to be using your ukulele in. For example, I find that this ukulele in some cases is too loud for what I'm using it for. So for example, if I'm recording a video in this room, I'm making a musical YouTube video on my cjhoyle music channel, I find that this ukulele sometimes kind of drowns out my voice, and it makes it difficult to hear like the words that I'm singing. And I'm just, I'm not because I'm strumming it too hard, I'm just, doing a normal strum on this ukulele, but in some cases it overpowers my voice. So in a situation like that, I've actually been interested in looking for something that's going to be a little bit quieter. So this one might be, the answer to that request. However, in other situations, you do want to have a louder type of a ukulele. On Wednesday nights, I go to a weekly ukulele jam in Toronto, and it's a big room full of, at least 80 people that all have ukuleles, and you're all playing at the same time. And last week, I took this ukulele with me instead of my normal wooden one, which I've taken it pretty much every week there. And I really found that it was really difficult to hear what I was playing on this one, just because it was so much quieter and there was so much in the room that it was like I felt like I didn't even need to play the right chord because no one could even hear it. It was so quiet. Of course, I was doing my best to play all of the right chords, but it was really difficult for me to be able to even hear myself playing. So in situations like that, having a loud ukulele like this is really ideal to take there. And my final comments are going to be about the quality of sound between these two different ukuleles. I've always found that the Kala one always had a very bright, sort of a bouncy kind of sound that came from it, and it's always, kind of a cheerful, kind of just a fun sound that, comes from playing chords on this ukulele. In terms of brightness, I definitely don't think the TV Pal is bright the way that the callow one is. However, it does have more of like a mellow kind of a sound, which again goes back to really what are you using this ukulele for. You know, in different situations, having a more mellow ukulele is actually probably a good thing. Really just depends on the song that you're doing and just kind of the way you want that song to sound when you're playing it. Anyway, this concludes my upgrade and sound comparison of my antique TV Pal ukulele. I hope you found it interesting and useful. Please stay tuned to my other YouTube channel, cjhoyle Music, to see these two ukuleles in action. But until then, thanks for watching.